The third tennis major of the year is here. It's Wimbledon, and my name is Corbin from the Parlay Club, and I've got the best bets and the plays the books do not want you known about. As always, drop a like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. Let me know whether you agree, disagree, your predictions, bets, that kind of stuff. Obviously, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Wimbledon, firstly previewing the surface, the women's side, men's side, and free play right at the end for you guys. Let's get started. So, firstly, the surface. So, obviously, if you don't know anything, tennis is played on three surfaces normally in a year. We have grass, hard courts, and clay, which is the French Open we just had. So, Wimbledon is all grass. That kind of leads to a completely different style. Like, if you're just hearing that, you're like, oh, they're just playing on a different pitch or surface. Like, what does it mean? It changes everything drastically. First thing is that the points are normally a lot quicker. It's a really fast paced kind of style of tennis. The way that it flies off the grass leads to it being a faster surface. It rewards the players that are more aggressive with their ball striking and speed. Really, the serve is such a huge factor on grass because it just flies off the grass and flies past the player trying to return. The returner really needs to have experience on grass, I think. The movement is so key going from side to side. You talk about on clay, you can slide. You can slide, but not really on grass. So you have to be really kind of solid with your movement. And really, it's the type of return. So I mentioned the speed that the serve comes off the grass at. You'll see the big servers traditionally do best on grass. So you need a certain block return style so that firstly it returns and you try and get it as deep as possible. Because if you return it on just a really slow pace, the player's just going to come in and smash it basically back through and you have no hope of winning the point. So yeah, certain return styles use way more on grass than they ever are anywhere else. Slices, so a slice is when they kind of take the ball off it and add more spin and try and keep it lower. That's particularly good on grass because the ball doesn't bounce very high. So yeah, the lower you can keep the ball, always the better. And some players have an awful slice and some have a really good slice, and that can be a huge difference in a particular match. Volleying, again, coming forward to the net, that kind of aggressive point winning style is so important because basically you can serve and then the speed at what it is you can get to the net and have an easy put away volley as opposed to a long drawn out rally that gives your opponent opportunities to get back into the point. um Mentioned low bounces. Again, some of these taller players, if you have a certain tricky player that can do a lot of slices down low, it causes a lot of problems. So yeah, it's really unique kind of style of tennis. You can almost throw out all the results from the rest of the year. Hard and clay court doesn't mean a whole lot form wise going into this. That kind of leads into the preparation for this tournament. Again, we only had the French Open less than a month ago now, so they've only really had a couple of tournaments max to get ready for this. Some haven't even played at all. That's all going to be a huge factor, I think. The burnout and the heat, again, mentioned it. We're getting on in the year now. We're over halfway through the year. We're now into the third major. Some of these players are going to, I think, look leggier than others. And I think that showed itself in the French Open. There's also been record heats here in the UK, which are astounding. But it does look like it's cooling into next week, which is going to help certain players particularly. My betting strategies are the same for um, most tennis majors. Live bets have become hugely important. We hit a huge amount of them at the French Open, where you basically get players that are like pre-match to either come back and win a set or come back and win a match. So going to continue with that. Doubles are a huge source. Particularly, I think on the women's side, you get these players that have never played together or are both not good on this surface, or they just don't play doubles. They're singles players, and doubles is a completely different format and style. So yeah, really like doubles. There's going to be quite a few of those in plays, and then early and often, I think you can get the most value in these early rounds. However, with Wimbledon, it was actually the second half last year where we came really good, particularly on underdogs on a plus spread. So an underdog to be within 4 games of the results. So yeah, going to try and take all of that and put in a really good Wimbledon, hopefully. Let's get on to firstly the women's side of the draw. Correctly predicted Andreeva at plus 800 for anyone that watched that video, which is a pretty good, nice win to predict. Normally I say the women's side is quite open, but for me, there's only 3 or 4 names that off the top of my head, that I really think can win Wimbledon. We've got Sabalenka, Rybakina, Coco Gauff, and Anisimova. But I think if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Rybakina at plus 600. Sabalenka lost, I think she played Pagula in Hamburg. I think it was Hamburg. On the grass. Didn't look great. She lost 2-1. You kind of saw in that French Open. I thought she wouldn't do well at the French Open, but I didn't think she'd go out that early. I think it all kind of. I think it's too much. I think the pressure might be too much for Sabalenka. She I think that Wimbledon will be easier for her. But again, you get into those quarterfinals and semi-finals, the pressure's on her. Everyone expects her to win. We're going to go 0 for 3 on the majors for really the best player on the tour. Gauff, it all depends on her serve. If Gauff is serving well, she can win this. If she's not, it could be an early exit. Same with Anisimova, who was the finalist last year, got battered. I think she lost 6-0, 6-0, and it was really not a good look. But I think all of that helps build character, and I think Anisimova definitely can reach quarter, semi-finals, all of that kind of stuff again. And then there's Rybakina, who, again, similar to Gauff, if her first serve is flying, she could almost be untouchable. She's won Wimbledon before. She has the experience. She is. They always make fun of it, but she has such a cool, calm, collected kind of mentality. She never goes too high and too low. Had an early exit at the French Open, which I think almost helps her. More time to prepare for the grass, clear her head, fitness, all of that kind of stuff. But again, her biggest weapon is the serve, so she really needs to be firing on that, or it's all going to kind of unravel from there. Players to fade. So I have Madison Keys, who is kind of an interesting name. She could make me look very silly because her game does suit grass considerably, and she's coming off a title last week on grass. But at Wimbledon, she's just always struggled. She lost to Siegmund last year after only just scraping through in the earlier rounds against the likes of Ruse, and she was awful in that match. I remember every major she kind of seems to have points where she struggles, where you really think she shouldn't. She withdrew the year before, 1 set each with Paolini. I wouldn't trust her against any top player, but she should still beat the lesser names. But I've seen from Keys too many times this kind of playing down to the opponent's level. So she is on my list to not bet/fade. Serena Williams is obviously the big name coming back, and I forgot how old she is. Well into her 40s now, I think. She has an interesting round 1 against Maya Joint. I think if she gets through that, that's when the fade starts happening. I don't know if I can fade Serena in round 1. Like, she had moments where she looked good. She's played doubles, but this is her first singles match. And as I mentioned, it's 2 completely different worlds. So I'm going to look to fade Serena, whether that's round 1 or round 2 or 3 will come into it. Raducanu, who again is back being injured again, she says at the minute that she's going to play tomorrow, and I have the pleasure of having Court 1 tickets tomorrow, so I will get to probably see that firsthand. I don't trust her fitness, I don't trust her mentality, changing coaches. At the minute, the Raducanu train is not one I want to be on. However, she has played well on grass this year. Before she got this injury, she played well on grass last year. She took Sabalenka very close in a match, I remember. And then we have Torsen, who again is just so unfit. Lost 8 of her last 10 with a couple of retirements and injuries. She just doesn't look fit, stable. I don't trust her on grass in the slightest. She has Maria Sakkari in round 1, which I think is a tough round 1 matchup, probably as tough as it gets. So I'm probably going to look to fade Clara Torsen. On the players to bet on the women's side, Jovic, young American, came through qualies last year and lost to Lemens, who on paper it doesn't look like a good result. But I remember she was in form last year. Kind of make an excuse for that. She's younger. She's definitely grown up over the last year since being on the tour. And then she's beat Anisimova on grass a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, a week ago, en route to the semi-final. So I really like her. I think I will parlay. I think she's about minus 500 in round one, and that's on my list to sort. Second player is Belinda Bencic. Only lost to Swiatek last year on the grass, who won the whole tournament. My one concern is she hasn't played any warm-ups, but I think her style suits grass. She has the consistency. I think it all kind of leads to Bencic having a good Wimbledon. And then a slightly less name is Buzkova. She won Nottingham, suited to this kind of style and surface. Recent Wimbledon, she's played well. I remember watching her against Garcia a few years ago, and her style is perfect. The kind of return slices, the kind of patterns of play that I said I like to see out of players on grass. Recent Wimbledon, she's only lost to the real top players, so I kind of like her to have some success here. Quickly want to go over what we have for clients, if I can find the right screen. Let me pull it up right now. Perfect, I found it. So, client plays, if you don't know what they are and you're new, I'll quickly go over. They're the best bets that I've spent hours, and trust me, it's been hours, 120 odd games, plus doubles to go through. So, I go through all of them. I pick out the best bets using my knowledge, research, watching film, all of that kind of fun stuff. And then I send you out the best plays. You bet it. I tell you how much, and hopefully we make some money. Tennis has been my best sport for years. I've been in this industry at 5-6 years at this point. Um, so I highly recommend coming to my DubClub. So all links will be in the description. You go to the DubClub, which takes you to this page. And then for the next month or so, I'm running this promo code of just 50, gets you 50% off this monthly pass. So that will be only $35 for the whole month. That includes all of Wimbledon, the rest of the World Cup, darts, motorsports, golf, you name it. We probably bet on it. Highly recommend this deal. I don't normally say how much I recommend it, but 50% off is probably the best deal I've ever done and probably will ever do. Um, it's really good. We've had a bad month, and I will hold my hands up for that. But we're still around plus 90 or 100 units for the whole year, which sucks for the short term. But if you always have to zoom out and kind of look at the bigger picture, and is why I always recommend getting long-term value. If you're down after the month, I will happily extend you. I have that much confidence. I've already extended a couple of people that had just bought plays and we hadn't had a good month. So if you're losing client, you kind of have that. I don't feel right charging anyone money if we're not making any money. So yeah, promo code 50 for 50% off a month. Gets you all the other plays, Wimbledon, etc. Link me for spreadsheet if you want to see the record instead of just, obviously I know a lot of people in this industry kind of con and, excuse my French, but bullshit about their results. If you come to my spreadsheet, you'll be able to see everything. If you have any other questions, issues, any of that kind of stuff, happy to talk in comments on X, on Discord, anything. So yeah, links to everything is in the bio and the description. Let's get back into it. So we now need the men's side. There we go. I mean, to me, I said it for the French Open, but I'm even more confident for Wimbledon. I think it's Sinner all day to win this tournament at minus 175. The only concern, again, it's a big concern, but it's the one that made him lose the French Open in my eyes, is the heat and the cramps. If it was as hot as it was this week, I would have concerns, but it is cooling into next week. I think he's going to have, if he hasn't already, he's going to have had to do something to try and learn how to manage or what's causing these cramps. Don't know what, but I have faith in him to have sorted it out, and I think minus 175 really suits it. Obviously, he won Wimbledon last year. There's no Alcaraz, who is obviously, I would say, his biggest threat. To me, it all kind of leads to Sinner having a pretty good tournament. I think he's going to win it, and I also have him already locked into a client play. Then we look at some of the players to fade. a few of these are going to sound pretty surprising, I feel like, to most people, so we'll just go down the list. I'm going to fade Zverev at some point. He lost quite early to Rinderknecht last year. He just won the French Open, so he finally won his first major. He's going to have gone off and celebrated. I don't think he's played any grass warm-ups. I don't think he... Obviously, he'd love to win this, and maybe he'll see it as another opportunity to do what he did at the French and go back-to-back. But I think he has such a great serve that helps him, but I don't think the actual... Like, he doesn't slice the ball, drop shot. I think that kind of stuff would make him come unstuck against somebody. Obviously, not sure who at this point, but I wouldn't back him to win the tournament. Mensik, I've seen his name flying around. Again, don't trust him on grass. His forehand kind of lets him down. I think he could have an early exit. Bublik, I love Bublik, but he just always lets me down in majors. Went out to Struff in round one of the French Open, which was disastrous. I've watched him multiple times at Wimbledon, and he has such the style. He has such a big serve. He can hit the ball fast. He can be aggressive. He's got drop shots, but it's just that consistency. He just seems to kind of lose concentration in patches of the game, which really puts him down. Tsitsipas doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. He's just so average on grass. If anyone plays a relatively fast ball to his backhand, the chances are it's not going back anywhere, kind of with any meaningful attempt. He has a one-handed backhand, never serves him well. He got rid of his coach just a few days ago, I think, just before the start of Wimbledon. Red flags all round for Tsitsipas again. Similar theme to Ruud. He's played so much over the last kind of month. He cramped it. French Open, managed to win that game still. He's just been awful on grass. We'll get to how I'm fading him in just a second in the free play, but he doesn't have the serve. He doesn't have the big weapons. He's not aggressive enough for me on grass, and I really think he's going to come unstuck, particularly in round one, which we'll get to into a sec. Players to bet on. I've got Fritz, who has the toughest first round matchup. He is playing Draper. I think both those players could be players to bet on. I lean Fritz, that's why I put him in this list. I'm not going to bet that match. I think it's very close, but whoever comes through that match, I wouldn't be surprised if they reach the semi-finals or the finals. I think Fritz has a really good opportunity on the opposite side of Yannick Sinner to reach the final. De Minaur, I really like De Minaur on grass. We've already cashed multiple plays on him on grass this year. I think he's still going to come unstuck against some of the top 10 players who can overpower him, but against the lesser names, he has the consistency and speed to really do damage. So I like him. Djokovic, who is the king of grass, along with Federer in my eyes. Again, he has what he does so well is what I mentioned in the first couple of slides. His returns are so good. He has the perfect block returns or slice returns, and then his serve is still as good, not as good as it was, but is still up there. I think that can do damage. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go quite far in this tournament. Obviously, he didn't go particularly far in the French Open. He choked a match against Fonseca, but I think all of that, I think it's all going to help him. If he's going to win another major, for me, it has to be on the grass. So, yeah, I really like Djokovic this year. And then on to a quick free play. So we're parlaying Hurkacz, who is against Ruud, and Nakashima, who is against Pennington Jones. Let's start off with Hurkacz. As I mentioned, Ruud took time off after the French Open, had issues cramping and played a lot up until that point. He's never played well on grass. He didn't play last year. 2024, he beat Bolt and then lost to Fanini, lost to Liam Brody the year before, and I just don't think he's motivated or cares about this tournament. You can see that by he crammed all his kind of efforts and time into the clay swing, and then basically took the whole grass mini season off. Hurkacz has a really good serve and consistency. He's really suited to the grass, in my opinion. Although his form has been a bit patchy on the grass this year, he lost to Altmaier and Fucsovics after a convincing set 1 wins, which is very strange. But I think he's got far and away enough to deal with Ruud this year, particularly with the serve being as dominant as it is. Nakashima, I love Nakashima. I feel like he's got a dominant serve. He's really kind of pushed on this year. He has the experience. He reached the semi-final of Queens, which is a warm-up tournament, beating Demonor, who I mentioned previously. He reached the third round last year and has been playing really well this year. I'd say he's in some of his best form I've ever seen him in. On the flip side, Pennington Jones, he's like serviceable, but he shouldn't be able to stand with Nakashima in the slightest. He did beat Echeverry last year in straights in round one, although I put that down to Echeverry being bad as opposed to Pennington Jones being good. He then got 3-0'd in the second round to Kaboli. Again, it comes down to serve and consistency, and for me, Nakashima wins in both of those in flying colours, quite honestly. So yeah, parlay Hurkacz and Nakashima money line for -127. Not an official client play, but I'm sure I will be using both pieces in client plays, which leads on to the little promo. So obviously code 50 gets you 50% off a month subscription. That gets you the whole of Wimbledon in its entirety, the rest of the World Cup, any other plays in multiple sports, and all of that. And that's it for this video. So like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, all of that fun stuff, let me know. I'll be going to Wimbledon at least 2 or 3 of the days. So if you're there, come and say hi. If you want any opinions on any specific matches, message me on send me a tweet on X or whatever it's called nowadays, Discord messages, any of that kind of stuff, and I will be happy to help, and we'll obviously be posting live plays. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and thanks for watching.